The 6th century BCE in Athens was a time of political turmoil, social unrest, and mythic transformation. Amidst the chaos emerged Peisistratus, a cunning and charismatic leader who would establish one of the most famous tyrannies in Greek history. His reign, though often marked by apparent benevolence and progressive policies, was also steeped in deception, secret alliances, and enduring legends that blurred the line between fact and folklore. Rise to power, a master of deception. Peisistratus was a distant relative of Solon, the famed Athenian lawmaker, and initially aligned himself with the poorer classes of Athens, particularly the hill dwellers, by posing as their champion. His first seizure of power in 561 BCE was anything but democratic. According to Herodotus, Peisistratus staged an attack on himself, appearing in public with self-inflicted wounds and claiming he had been targeted by political enemies. The Athenian assembly, moved by his appeal and theatrical presentation, granted him a personal bodyguard, which he quickly turned into a private army. With it, he stormed the Acropolis and declared himself tyrant. This episode is often cited as one of the earliest examples of political theater, using fear, symbolism, and emotion to manipulate public opinion. His opponents, however, did not sit idly. Within a few years, the aristocratic factions forced him into exile. The most absurd coup in history. In one of the most bizarre tales in Greek political history, Peisistratus returned from exile in 556 BCE with a woman dressed as the goddess Athena. According to legend, the woman, tall, beautiful, and regal, rode beside him in a chariot as he re-entered Athens. Many Athenians, believing the goddess herself was endorsing Peisistratus, accepted his return as divinely sanctioned. Herodotus recounts the story with some skepticism, but the very fact that it circulated suggests the theatrical nature of ancient politics. Once again, his tyranny was short-lived, and he was exiled for a second time. But Peisistratus was not a man to give up easily. The final return, blood and brilliance. Peisistratus's third return to Athens in 546 BCE was more calculated and militarized. He gathered forces in Thebes in the Argolid and financed his army through silver mines in Mount Pangaean in Thrace. His victory at the Battle of Pallene solidified his control, and this time he kept power until his death in 528-5527 BCE. Despite the brutal path to power, Peisistratus's rule is often remembered as one of relative peace and prosperity. He maintained the laws of Solon, promoted arts and culture, and implemented infrastructural reforms. His economic policies favored small farmers, and he encouraged olive oil production, turning it into a cornerstone of Athenian trade. However, behind the scenes, his regime was tightly controlled. Political rivals were exiled, and opposition was quietly neutralized. A secret network of informants is rumored to have operated in the city, ensuring loyalty and discouraging dissent. Whether or not these spy networks truly existed, the absence of overt resistance during his later reign suggests a well-maintained grip on power. The role of religion and myth. Peisistratus understood the value of religion as a political tool. He invested heavily in the Panathenaic festival, elevating it to a grand civic event that united Athenians under shared traditions. He began the construction of the temple of Olympian Zeus and was a patron of the cult of Dionysus, thus intertwining his image with the divine. There's even speculation that the Homeric epics, the Iliad and the Odyssey, were first compiled into written form during his rule. Whether or not this is true, the association of his tyranny with the canonization of Greek myth suggests a regime that sought legitimacy not just through politics, but through culture and storytelling. Death and legacy. Upon his death, Peisistratus passed power to his sons, most notably Hippias and Hipparchus, initiating a hereditary form of tyranny. Though their rule would eventually be brought down, most dramatically with the assassination of Hipparchus by Harmodius and Aristogiton, Peisistratus's reign left an indelible mark on Athenian history. Some historians view his tyranny as a necessary step toward democracy. By weakening the traditional aristocracy and centralizing power, Peisistratus inadvertently laid the groundwork for future reforms by Cleisthenes, which would birth Athenian democracy. Shadows and secrets. To this day, the story of Peisistratus straddles the boundary between legend and reality. Was he a benevolent autocrat or a ruthless manipulator? A wise statesman or a master of illusion? The truth likely lies somewhere in between. In ancient Athens, tyranny did not always mean cruelty. It meant rule without constitutional legitimacy. And while Peisistratus may have worn the mask of a populist leader, his path to power was riddled with plots, lies, and myth-making. His genius was not only in ruling Athens, but in crafting the illusion that he ruled with its blessing.